Hey everyone, greetings from Brno, from wine country here in South Moravia in the Czech Republic. I hope everyone is managing through the end of this quarantine. I can kind of see the light at the end of the pandemic tunnel. It's been a rough couple months and I'm sure everyone's feeling it, but at least here in Brno, things are starting to open back up. So restaurants and bars have opened up. Outside seating only, of course, but I'll take it. It is so nice to be able to go out on a Friday night and have some drinks and just see familiar faces and have that return to normalcy. It was really refreshing. So I hope everyone is able to enjoy, of course, with safety and using the precautions they need to stay healthy, but can enjoy a night out and supporting their local businesses, local restaurants. So yeah, but if you have not been following what I've been up to in Brno, a few months ago I was asked if I wanted to contribute an article about dessert wine in a local publication called Food Drink Brno. Came out a few months ago. And since then, the editor contacted me asking if I wanted to contribute a monthly article about wine in their monthly publication called CAM. So of course I jumped at the opportunity. And so you can pick these up in Brno city center. It's called Calm Where in Brno. And it talks about a range of things going on each month. So different museums or art festivals going on, or culture and music, of course, food and drink. And so there is a small English section in their publication. And so I decided to title my column What I'm Drinking, very apropos. But I talked a little bit about some of the grapes that I find fascinating in the region, different producers that I think are making outstanding examples of those grapes. And yeah, you can follow along on my Moravian wine escapade while I'm living here as an expat. And if you don't live in Brno, but are curious to read it, you can read it online. I'll list the website here. And so you can follow along digitally as well. And for today's wine video, I know summer's coming and it's warming up and I'm very appreciative of summertime, but I wanted to talk about a red grape variety that's super popular, very, very important to this area of the world, but can still be enjoyed in the summer. And so this grape is Saint Laurent, or as it's known here, Svatouvašnetské. And this grape, before coming here, I did not have a huge awareness of it. I didn't realize how important it was to this area in Central Europe. And this grape, I had a few examples of Saint Laurent from Austria, mainly. And upon moving here, not realizing it is the #1 red planted grape variety in South Moravia. It covers 9% of the vineyards in the region. It's about 1,500 hectares. So it is huge in this region and it's so important to the history of grape production in Czech Republic. So Saint Laurent, apart from being delicious on its own, is also the parent grape to Zweigelt. You might know it from Austria. Here in the Czech Republic, it's known as Zweigeltrebe. Also, it is the parent grape to André, a crossing that was introduced here in the mid-20th century, produces excellent wines, as well as Dunaj, which is a Slovak grape, also grown in the Czech Republic. So Saint Laurent has played an important role in the introduction of other red grape varieties in the region on its own. It produces these very fragrant, red-fruited, medium to light-bodied red wines that are low in tannin, fairly high in acidity, but can be age-worthy and can be affordable and a great alternative to those expensive Pinot Noirs you might be a fan of. I'm always looking for quality to price ratio. I'm looking for things that are affordable and delicious and are representative of the region, of course. And so for today, I decided to choose 2 Saint Laurents from the same region, from Znojmo, and showing 2 very different examples of what the grape can do. Saint Laurent is a dry red wine. So if you are looking for a Saint Laurent in your local vinoteca in the region, you will not find them that are sweet. if you are finding one that is like Polo Suke or Polo Sladke or something, just put it back on the shelf. Go for a Suke, go for a dry red wine. In terms of alcohol levels, you're looking at wines between 12 and 13% alcohol. So these are not these heavy, full-bodied tannic wines. These are light and graceful and delicate wines that should be at a maximum of about 13% alcohol, in my opinion. I think more than that, I think you lose the integrity of the grape. So going into the first Saint Laurent, or Svatovažnecké, as it's known here, is Trávniček Kořínek. So this is a winery, like I mentioned, located in Znojmo. Interesting fact about Trávniček Kořínek, which I just learned upon checking their website today. They've actually rebranded. They're now Thaya Vinařství, still located in Znojmo. They've just expanded their vineyard properties and I think have some new investors as well. But I've showed their wines before at wine tastings, and I think that they are just delicious. They do use a little bit of barrel maturation on their Saint Laurent, which I like. It adds a little bit of spice component to it. But I think they make beautiful, elegant styled wines. And so going into their Saint Laurent today, the wine has a youthful ruby color. There's no age showing on here, despite it's 2015. It's got a couple of years of bottle maturation, but still very youthful in the color. And it's just so fragrant. It smells like roses and violets and lilacs. And it has a beautiful raspberry, red cherry note to it as well. But it's delicate and very perfumed. Medium plus intensity on the nose. And it's showing concentration. And what I like about Saint Laurent is it can be not a heavy wine, but a concentrated wine. So it's not diluted. It still has a great round, fragrant, floral, fruity aromatic to it. But medium acidity, very, very soft, delicate tannins. This is not a very dry wine, very tannic wine. It has a nice floral, fruity component on the mid palate as well. More black fruited, kind of a black plum on the palate, a little bit of a blackberry note too. Cherry notes coming through as well. But again, high in acid, higher, I would still call it medium acidity, but in general terms, talking about acidity, it's higher in acid than, let's say, a Cabernet Sauvignon or a Syrah or even a Grenache. It shows very similar characteristics to like a Pinot Noir, Gamay, that style of lighter bodied red wines. But just juicy and easy to drink, a little bit of acidity, really pleasant, and nice long finish too, which is what I'm always looking for. I picked this bottle up at Vinoteku Tri Kníža. I think this was their last 2015. I like the 15s. It was a fairly ripe vintage, pretty warm, so a lot more fruity characteristics, touch higher alcohol too. But if you find any 2015 Saint Laurents from South Moravia, pick them up. They're pretty delicious, particularly this one. I know they have the 17s at the shop now, which are also showing very well. But huge fan of Trávniček Kořínek. I'm excited to try their new rebranding of Thaya wineries. So always looking to expand my wine knowledge and portfolio. So yeah, loving Saint Laurent and loving the ones from Znojmo, I must say. And talking a little bit about the next producer I will be showing today is Dva Duby. So Dva Duby is the winery, translates to two oaks. Winemaker here is Jiří Šebela, and I had the great pleasure of meeting Jiří last September, I believe. Their winery is located in Dolní Kounice in Znojmo, so a small village in Znojmo. And when I first contacted Jiří, I was showing one of his wines in an upcoming wine class, and I wanted to learn more. And he wrote me back and was so generous and said, I will drive and pick you up in Brno, drive you back to the vineyards, we'll do the tour, we'll do a tasting, and then I'll drive you back to Brno in the evening. And the hospitality in this region is so incredible and so generous and so warm. And I really appreciate him taking care of me like that, and showing me everything about the vineyards, the village, the winery, the barrel room, everything. So very lucky to have had that opportunity. He makes fantastic wine. He's an organic winemaker, minimal intervention winemaker. So very little, he's not influencing the grapes. He's letting the grapes influence the wine, which is the most important in my opinion. So Yiji started his winery in 2006, 2007, so roughly 13th, 14th vintage. He was originally in IT and fell in love with Saint Laurent. So he and I both share the same passion for this grape variety. He makes beautiful Saint Laurent that he feels are age-worthy. He believes in the aging potential of Saint Laurent. So when I was checking out his selection at Vinoteca Triknijat yesterday, they had a 2012 Saint Laurent, and so I had to scoop it up, and it's showing beautifully. So on the color here, it shows a nice garnet color, really garnet core, but on the rim, it's showing a slight brickish character to it, just that evidence of bottle age, bottle maturation. And it's so fragrant. It's showing that rose petal, but more like a dried rose petal, and a bit more of a stewed fruit or cooked fruit quality to it. Like when you're cooking down cherries, it has that cherry marmalade note to it. But spicy still as well. This wine does see some old oak barrel maturation. And hints of white pepper and savoriness to it as well. But this wine's definitely showing more of like orange peel note to it, bit more dynamic on terms of the nose profile. I do like the primary fruit characteristics from Trávniček and Kořínek, the red fruit and floral components and a little bit of spice. However, the tertiary components on this Saint Laurent are fascinating. How this slight leather and cigar box and dried rose petals and a little bit of the stewed fruits really coming through. But bright and juicy black plum, but medium acidity, about the same. Touch higher on the Dva Duby, maybe medium plus, but it's like biting into a plum, got a little bit of spice. That savory component on the finish is coming through, like a slight smoked kielbasa quality to it, a little bit of white pepper as well. Very complex wine. And like I've mentioned earlier, the wines are texturally, they're thin. They're not a heavy, thick wine, but they're concentrated in terms of fruit and flavor and fragrance, which I really appreciate. And this is why I love these light-bodied red wines that are crafted to produce concentrated flavors without going into heavy tannin or high alcohol content. But it's just delicate, but at the same time quite complex. And that smoky quality on the finish is just delicious and just makes me want to keep drinking it. So hats off to Dva Duby and Trávniček and Kořínek. You make fantastic wine. I am so lucky I get to be in this region and try these wines. And you can actually try some of these wines if you live in the UK. So Basket Press Wines is the importer of Dva Duby. So if you want to check out some delicious South Moravian Saint Laurent or Frankovka, you can check out what Basket Press Wines is currently importing. They might not have the 2012. I think I got lucky in picking up this bottle at the Vinoteca yesterday. But yeah, definitely check out these organic winemakers. I think they're making fantastic juice, and they're showing the potential of this widely planted yet slightly unknown grape variety of Saint Laurent. So always excited to discover more of this region, to try the wines. Pro tip on these wines, pop them in the fridge for like an hour before you serve them. Put a little bit of a chill on them. It will make all the difference. There will not be any of that astringency. The acidity will slightly soften. Everything will kind of integrate. And then pop it open, enjoy it with some grilled beef. Beef carpaccio would be delicious. Anything kind of earthy, mushrooms would be great. I think these wines are very versatile. I think they show a great expression of the region, of the terroir here in South Moravia, this cool climate, continental climate here in Central Europe, and showing the potential of Saint Laurent. So that being said, enjoy the weekend. If you live in Brno, go out and get a drink, get a glass of wine, enjoy the bit of freedom that we once cherished so much, and enjoy some Saint Laurent. Pick one up at your local Vinoteca. So cheers to Saint Laurent, cheers to Znojmo. You make great wine down there, and to Trávniček Kořínek and Dva Duby. Thanks for making delicious Saint Laurent. Ahoy from Brno. Cheers.